How's it going, bros? My name is Pootie Chang, and welcome back to the channel. This is me, and we are going to be doing a review of UFC Fight Night Dawson versus Green. Just want to say straight off the bat, holy cow, that main event, man. Bobby Green shocks the world. Going into that fight, I did quite a bit of research, trying to, really to decide, because it felt like, looking at the rankings, it was number 10 versus an unranked dude in Bobby Green. Felt like they were going to try to, give Bobby a win. And so I was like, okay, let me really look at how good Grant Dawson is. And I analyzed the fights to try to judge his, his chin level. And he didn't get cracked too much. So I was like, okay, this guy can take a shot. I don't think Bobby Green's the striker to put him down. But that was wrong. And yeah, good job for Bobby Green, I guess. I like Bobby. But yeah, I expected Dawson to have a lot more pressure, to go for the takedown and get the body triangle and win through that somehow, either submission or dominant decision. But yeah, and man, Bobby Green, I'm not shocked, and it felt like it was a fight that might have been set up for Bobby to win. That's at least how I feel about it. But yeah, overall the card was iffy. We just had a week off, so something a bit more exciting would have been nice. But the main card was fun. The prelims were mid, but yeah, it came together in the end, I guess. Moving on to our co-main event, we had Joe Pyfer versus Al Hassan. This was a fun first round, I would say. It started out like within the first 30 seconds, Pyfer shot for a blast double and then got a standing arm triangle, I think it was, and Al Hassan got out of it, and the rest of the round went on. Pyfer was mainly pressing to the body, switching it up to the head and legs every once in a while, And yeah, after that round, Pyfer's legs, they started to suffer damage, I guess, and Al Hassan looked like he was turning the tide a bit, but Pyfer got it down to the ground again and locked in the arm triangle. This time, it finished the fight, and he got a submission in round 2. Before that, we had Morono versus Buckley. This fight, at first it was close, but as it went on, Buckley just started to dominate, and yeah, it was a pretty fun fight. I think it was fight of the night, probably. And yeah, Buckley just was outworking him, landing better shots, and making it really look like Morono didn't belong in there with him. And yeah, he got the decision, I think it was. He had him hurt. Yeah, it was definitely a decision. He had him really hurt in round 3. I think that might have been a 10-8 round. I don't remember, but yeah, great fight. And next for Buckley at 170, I think he called for a ranked fight, so I don't know who you give him there. Maybe you can't do the Kevin Holland rematch. Yeah, I don't really know what you do with Buckley from here, but good fight, and I definitely think he should be going forward in that division. He's kind of proven himself as that guy that just sits right outside of the rankings as a gatekeeper, kind of like Bobby Green, until he got this victory. So I assume they'll probably try to give Buckley a winnable ranked fight at 170. Maybe they'll do you know what? They're gonna do Buckley versus Neil Magny. That's what they're gonna do. I'm calling it here and now. But yeah, moving on. Before that, we had Dober versus Glenn, and this was dominant from Drew Dober. It was not a really good matchup at all. I don't know why. They fed Glenn to Drew Dober here, and Drew is now the lightweight knockout record holder, so that's cool. Good for Drew Dober. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Moving on, we had Hernandez versus Algeo. This was the other fight that was in contention for fight of the night. Bill Algeo, he just kind of showed he was more light on the feet, more evasive, he just overall outshined Hernandez in that fight. And yeah, I think it was a good win for Bill Algeo. He had a good call out in the post fight. I think Billy Quarantillo responded on Twitter, so I think that's what they're going to go for next regarding that fight. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but does Alexander Hernandez kind of remind you of the character build Josh Emmett has, except he must have invested more skill points into looks rather than fighting good? Because yeah, they look like their body type is the exact same. Weird Joe Rogan body type, but yeah, just thought that was a little funny comparison to make. Now, before that, we had the prelims. I'm just going to run through this all real quick. We had Kovacevic versus Belbita, and that fight was a pretty good fight for Kovacevic. She, I think, lost the first round, but the judges gave it to her anyway, 30-27. But yeah, Kovacevic did a good job just showing she belonged in there and was fighting well. Not much to say about that. Moving on. Next up, we had Manus versus Mendonca. I don't know how you say that last name, but anyway, that was a weird performance from the Brazilian. He immediately went for a leg lock and just kind of got his arms tied up in the legs of Manus, and I don't know, he just got knocked out on the ground pretty much. He got rocked pretty early and almost put out, but he kind of got his head out of the way, but eventually he couldn't avoid it forever and he just got put out, and okay, bad performance from him, but yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles. Moving on, we had Demopoulos versus Murata. I think this was a horrible decision. Robbery for Demopoulos. I think she gets most of her fights done that way, but you know what are you going to do about it? But yeah, she should have won, man. On the feet, she clearly had the advantage because the other girl built like a T-Rex, just huge legs, short ass T-Rex arms. She wasn't landing anything on the feet, but Demopoulos was content with just laying in half guard, or not half guard, full guard for the whole fight pretty much. She didn't really put much effort into getting out. She tried to submit her a couple times and was really active with the hands off the back, but you gotta try to get up, and that's where you had the advantage, and she didn't, but they still gave her the decision anyway, so whatever. Moving on, we had Oriki Lang versus Munoz, and this was probably the best fight on the prelims. That's saying a lot. None of the fights were really that good, but yeah, I think Oriki Lang got the win. It was a pretty close fight. Yeah, not much to say about it. Just back and forth. We had De La Rosa versus Aldrich, and this was a win for Aldrich. Again, it was a decision. I think it was a decision. I don't think Aldrich subbed her, but yeah, they just fought away and she won. Boring fight. Not much else to say about that either. Alright, so that was my UFC Fight Night Dawson versus Green recap, and let me know what you guys thought about it down below if you would like to do so, and I will see you later. And also, camera's here now, so that's cool.